We just saw this with Jen Psaki, the spokesperson for the president of the United States. I mean, think about what she said. She said big tech are now where so many people get their news, i.e., they're the press. And so she said, we are working with the press to stop certain information from getting to we, the people, the American people. That is a direct violation of their First Amendment freedom of the press liberties we have. That's scary. And they got some list of 12 people who they said are putting out misinformation. So there's that sort of fundamental question. I think that's what the concern is that marriage of big government and big tech, I think only means conservatives get it worse.
I'm Dave Rubin, and joining me today is a congressman for Ohio's 4th District. He serves as the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee and is a co-founder of the House Freedom Caucus. Congressman Jim Jordan, welcome to the Rubin Report.
It is good to be with you, Dave, and thank you for what you do. Thank you for fighting for freedom and First Amendment liberties for everyone. The country appreciates that, so good to be with you.
Oh, well, I appreciate the kind words. I can bounce that right back at you. You were one of the leaders, especially, I think, on the big tech stuff, fighting for free speech and free expression and keeping the government and big tech out of every little facet of our lives. So actually, let's start right there.
Sure.
Big tech. Well, I'll give you the broad question first, and then we'll get into the specifics.
Yeah.
Big tech, what do we do? Do you want to regulate? Do you want to break them up? Do you believe competition is enough? Is it all of those? Is it none of those?
No, it's all of those and probably some more. I mean, I do think you got to get rid of the liability protection, the so-called Section 230. You got that's a start. Then I think you have to give, and we have a series of they'll be in bill form soon, but ideas we're talking about: get rid of 230, private right of action, like big tech makes some moderate content moderation decision about you. They got to tell you why. There needs to be some training. Why'd they do that? And frankly, if they do it, and like DeSantis did in Florida, if you're a candidate for office and they do those kind of things, there should be a right of action you have to hold them accountable. So that's something we're looking at. And then, frankly, I think, Justice Thomas has, I think, more than hinted that he wants to address this issue and talking about big tech and the power they have. So what we're also looking at doing is speeding up the antitrust actions in our court system so it gets to the Supreme Court and we can get an answer. After all, the Trump administration, both the FTC brought antitrust action against Facebook and the Justice Department has brought an antitrust action against Google. And we'll see how that all shakes out with the Biden DOJ. But I think that's where it has to focus versus what the Democrats are talking about doing, which is just giving more power to the FTC, which I think would translate into big government colluding with big tech to further stick it to conservatives.
Right, which is pretty much what's happening already. On the 230 point, my audience they all know about the difference between platform and publisher and all that. The pushback on getting rid of 230, which I'm basically for getting rid of it, so I think we're pretty much lined up there. The pushback, though, is that if you get rid of the protections, that basically all of these platforms, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, et cetera, that they will have to censor more because they'll be worried about the liability. What would you say to that?
Legitimate concern. There's also the concern that they're so big they can handle the lawsuits that come when they do censor people, and versus the competition that we want to have happen. But I just think the fundamental issue is, look, if they're making publishing decisions, editorial decisions, they're not supposed to have the liability protection, and we know that's what they're doing. So I think you just have to look at the fundamental question and say, okay, you're making those editorial decisions, you don't get the protection, and then go from there. But that's why I think you also need the other things I talked about to actually address this. Again, what concerns me most is in an effort to deal with censorship, we have people embracing this idea that, we got to give the government, the bureaucracy, the agencies more regulatory power. And I just think that's a mess. And frankly, we just saw this. We just saw this with Jen Psaki, the spokesperson for the president of the United States. I mean, think about what she said. She said big tech are now where so many people get their news, i.e., they're the press. And so she said, we are working with the press to stop certain information from getting to we, the people, the American people. That is a direct violation of their First Amendment freedom of the press liberties we have. That's scary. And they got some list of 12 people who they said are putting out misinformation. So there's that sort of fundamental question. I think that's what the concern is that marriage of big government and big tech, I think only means conservatives get it worse.
When you hear Psaki say something like that, the word that to me was where the real bell went off was she said, we flag content for Facebook.
Yep.
The implication is we're doing it together, right? We're flagging it for them. When you hear that, do you ever go to your Democratic counterparts and go, guys, look, we may not agree on tax rates, we may not agree on abortion or blah, 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 but I thought we at least agreed on First Amendment stuff. Do they take that meeting? Do they take that call?
They used to. I don't know if they would now. And frankly, I'm skeptical they would now because it has gotten so partisan. And we've had a number of Democrats, some of them on the Judiciary Committee, the committee that's supposed to safeguard the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and Americans' fundamental rights and liberties. We've had so many of them cheer on big tech when they censor conservatives. So it's not the same. It used to be that you could work with. I mean, I always make tell this story. Dennis Kucinich, former member, is a friend of mine. I mean, I talked to him on the phone a few months. I just texted him yesterday because I saw him on a clip on Tucker. Dennis is an old school liberal who says, let's make the best argument. Let's have the debate. And he was with us on civil liberties. But that's not where today's left is. Today's left is authoritarian, and you're seeing it from the spokesperson of the president of the United States in the White House briefing room. So it's a different animal today. And again, I think that's why you're so concerned and I'm so concerned and so many Americans are about what's really happening to our freedoms.
Yeah, Dennis Kucinich is actually a perfect example. When he ran for president, which was, probably 16 years ago, something like that, he was the furthest left Democrat at that point. And basically the only people who will talk to him now are Tucker and Fox News. They would never put him on CNN at this point.
And he was a champion of civil. We were on the oversight committee together when Democrats had power back when Dennis was in Congress. He chaired this subcommittee. I was the ranking member, and when it flipped, I was chairman. He was ranking member. And there were issues where we could work together. Typically, they were civil. Like we were both concerned about facial recognition technology and how law enforcement might use that to violate our. So we could work together. And when we didn't agree, he was a true liberal. Like, let's have the debate. Get your best hold, make your best argument. Let's see who wins. After it's over, we'll shake hands and we'll get ready for the next issue and have the debate. That is so different from what we see today, where it's so the vitriol and going after people and the canceling and everything else. It is a completely different animal. I long for the people like Kucinich, like Dennis Kucinich, who's a good man and believes in so many of the same things we do when it comes to civil liberties. Different on policy. We're miles apart on other policy issues, but we need more of that, frankly, in the United States Congress.
I think I've asked this question to every congressman or senator that I've had on, and I'd love to know your take too. Do you know when? Do you have a moment, or was there a person that you can point to when the Democrats really went off the deep end with this stuff, when it was, okay, no more talking, no more negotiating, you guys are all bad guys, Nazis, whatever nonsense they're throwing at you? Do you remember when it happened?
Well, I would probably point to November 8th, 2016, when Donald Trump got elected president, because we know what President Trump, an individual, by the way, who I think did an amazing job as president, did more of what he said than any president, certainly in my lifetime, accomplished so much with relentless attacks from the left and the Democrats and the media and frankly too many Republicans, and still got so much done. But I think it probably started then. Now, there may be something else, but the first thing that popped to mind was the day he wins election, Democrats have been going after him and continue to do so now 5 years later.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.